Hi, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mrs. Rast. Today we're going to be talking about grapes, not the. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mrs. Rast. I am here to talk to you today about grapes, not the fruit, but actually an acronym that we use to explain every ancient civilization we will be talking about this year. GRAPE stands for geography, religion, achievements, politics, economics, and social structure. Please take notes in your red notebook on the assigned pages. If you are absent today, you can find the assigned pages on Edmodo. Write down everything that's in red, and remember, the beauty of the video is that you can pause, stop, and rewind. So let's get started. Our first column for grapes is called geography. Geography is going to look at location, climate, and resources. So, for example, the very first civilization we will talk about is Mesopotamia. Its location is found in the Middle East. It is in a desert area. We could look at climate in terms of it's hot and dry. Resources are what is available to the people. Most likely in ancient times, you're going to need water, you're going to need a place to take shelter, and you're going to need a way to make food. R is for religion. Religion has to do with beliefs. If you practice Judaism, you may believe it's not okay to eat shellfish or pork. You may practice the diet of kosher. Place and ways to worship. You may be found worshiping at a church, a synagogue, or a temple. Symbols. Christianity, we usually see a cross as a prominent symbol. In Islam, you may see the crescent moon and the star. And then we have philosophies, which is more of a way of living life, and those would include Confucianism, Taoism, or Buddhism. Some examples we will cover is Judaism, Hinduism, and Buddhism this year. A is for achievements. When we look at each civilization, whether we're talking about India, China, or Rome, we're going to look at things like inventions, the first wheel being created, the first written language being created. We'll look at technology, things that make people's life easier, like the invention of papyrus or later on paper. We'll look at architecture. Right here we have an example of Egyptian architecture with the pyramids. We'll look at the Roman Colosseum and Greek temples like the Parthenon. And lastly, discoveries. What did the ancient civilizations discover that we have profited from today? P is for politics. We will look at different types of government found throughout ancient civilizations, such as monarchies, theocracies, oligarchies, tyrannies, and democracy. We'll look at who the leaders were and how they influenced their people, like King Hammurabi of Mesopotamia, King Menes of Egypt, Julius Caesar of Rome. We'll look at the first created written laws and punishments that went along with those laws. War, and voting. And here's a quick funny just for you to sit back and relax to.
That vote. Then they're gone home to campaign, 6.5 weeks to election day. Conan O'Brien having a little bit of fun with the American people, he says, not quite in tune with their government. A recent report says the majority of Americans cannot name the three branches of government: judicial, executive, and legislative. Yeah. To make it easier, the government is renaming those branches Kim, Chloe, and Courtney. Kim, Chloe, and Courtney. Mr. Cuomo, you can assign the names to the different branches. I'll leave you that responsibility. I don't know. Who's Kim, Chloe, and Courtney? Just kidding you, John. Just kidding you, John. Have a good weekend.
E is for economics. That has to do with currency or types of money. We didn't always use money, but in the American system, we use dollars as our currency. In ancient times, we will talk a lot about trade, getting things that you need from others. We'll look at exports, things going out of a country, and imports, things coming into a country. Resources that allow you to trade with others. And lastly, taxes. S is for social structure, meaning who has the power. In ancient times, we would look at social class in terms of a pyramid because the people at the top have the most power and the people at the bottom have the least power. So here it would be Pharaoh, and then all the way down you have the peasants and the slaves. Social structure can also be found at home. Who has the most power? Who has the least power? You can look at social class when you talk about like elections. They usually talk about the middle class or the upper class. You might even look at the middle school cafeteria as an example of different social classes, meaning people that have the same types of hobbies, ideas, values, all kind of sitting together, and they're all divided based upon those ways of living. Congratulations, you are finished with your notes. I hope that you wrote everything down in red and that it makes sense to you. If not, go back, ask questions, get help from a friend or from myself. We will be doing an activity with grapes in just a little bit, so please keep these notes handy. Bye-bye.